All right, welcome into another edition of Catching Up with Tommy Mac, brought to you by my friends at Team Tommy Mac, and here inside the 1010XL podcast studio at the headquarters of the Jacksonville Sports Superstation. Of course, check us out, 1010XL.com, the 1010XL app, all over social media, YouTube, you name it, wherever you watch and listen your favorite podcast, you'll find Catching Up right there. You'll also find Team Tommy Mac at TommyMac.net. Check them out. Check out their logos with their websites embedded right there. Take you right to the respective sites. Great to have them on board and great to have all of you on board. Happy Monday to you. Fresh off the Helmets and Heels show, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 1010XL with my friends Taylor Dahl and Lauren Brooks. Hope you enjoyed the show. Great to be in here in the studios. Lots to get into in a short period of time. USA Hockey, of course, gold medal champions on both the men's and women's side. We'll get into that. Jackson Smith in Jigba says he should be the highest paid receiver. Thought I'd do a little research. We'll talk about that. Looking at our Jaguars roster, who is on the team for next year, who may not be. I tell you, there's quite a list as far as I'm concerned. We're talking a little combine. And we'll talk the running back market as well as Javonte Williams from the Dallas Cowboys signs a 3-year deal. What does that mean for Travis Etienne? Well, first of all, I know we've heard it all day long ever since yesterday when the men's Olympic hockey team, the Americans, beat the Canadians 2-1 in an overtime thriller, an unbelievable display of hockey. And heroes were born yesterday, man. It just felt great. I know not everybody was into it, but I think a lot of us, it just felt good to see America on top. Felt good on the women's side, felt good on the men's side. At first I even said it on the radio, when I looked at the hockey, I was like, a bunch of NHL players playing each other. You see that, all the time, but it meant something to these guys. It really meant something to the Canadians too. You could tell how distraught they were by the loss, but you hear from these players on the American side talking about how much they love their country, how much they love playing for their team, playing for the United States of America. I think that's, I don't know, maybe I'm out of it a little bit, but I feel like that's been missing, and they brought it back, and it was just in great fashion. Of course, winning in overtime. Jack Hughes gets the golden goal. Zach Werneski, what a great assist. What a great play at the end. The goaltender, Connor Hellebuyck, was unbelievable. 41 saves. They had 42 shots on goals. So I like 28. There was a barrage of goals, but he hung in there and did a fantastic job. I'm wearing my Boston College Eagles sweatshirt. I know it looks like a Piscataway with the same nickname and colors, but this is Boston College in honor of the hockey team. Came to BC in 1988 from Chicago. I was more a Bears fan, Cubs fan. I knew the Blackhawks. Can't say I really watched the Blackhawks. Bulls fans as well, especially when Jordan came to town. But when I got to BC, I saw how awesome the sport was and really grew a ton of respect for hockey players because of their toughness. They got a different kind of toughness. I don't know what it is, but all I know is when you're not afraid to get your face all screwed up in a game or a fight or whatever, you got a certain level of toughness to you, and they do. They're great athletes. They're physical. It's a grind. Practices are grueling. They smell all the time. Well, how do I know this? Because we used to share a weight room with them at Boston College. But the one thing about BC is, man, did they have some incredible hockey players, still do to this day, including Olympians. Back in 1992, there were 5 Boston College Olympians. Billy Guerin, Stephen Hines, Marty McGinnis, David Emma, and Greg Brown, all 5 went to BC during my time there. I know all 5 of those guys. David Emma, he was 1 year ahead of me, so maybe not as much. Hines and McGinnis were my year. Billy Guerin, who's the president of USA Hockey, was a year beneath me. I'll never forget, I think I met him my sophomore year. He was a freshman. He was the 4th player taken in the draft out of high school. Number 4, the first American, a beast of a player, a long hockey career, and just an awesome job that he's done. I can't leave out the girls because there were 4 members of Boston College. playing for the girls team. Megan Keller with the game winner or the tie. No, she won it. Kayla Barnes, Hannah Bilka, and Alex Carpenter. Fantastic. Matt Boldy was the first goal scorer of the men's championship, the gold medal round. And Noah Hannafin, a defenseman. Both those guys play for the NHL. Just a great, great program. It'll continue to thrive. I tell you, one of my favorite quick stories is I'm on the sideline at the Boston College game, getting ready to be introduced as a Hall of Fame member. And Craig Janney, who's also getting inducted in 2009, he was a year ahead of me. So I didn't really know Craig at BC, but definitely knew of him and knew who he was. And he played like 13 years in the NHL. Anyway, we're talking, and I just said to him, I said, man, how old are you when you went pro? He's like, we went pro. I was age 20. We went to the 1988 Olympics, and after it was over, we're like, we're not going back to school, and went right into the National Hockey League, and a lot of guys have done that. So proud member of Boston College. And, of course, at the end, what they did for Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau, both Boston College alumni, both were killed, of course, last year while they were riding their bikes. I think two are from their sisters' not wedding, but rehearsal dinner. Just a sad, sad story. They honored Johnny last night after the game, brought his kids out, had his jersey. That don't make you tear up. I don't know what does. I just thought it was absolutely fantastic. So great job, USA Hockey. Proud to be an American and proud to say that we watched a good bit of you win that gold medal. That was absolutely fantastic. We'll get on to the National Football League. Of course, the Combine fast approaching. The big dudes, they report on Thursday. You've already heard reported Liam Cohen, James Gladstone will not be in attendance. The Rams don't do it. They came from the Rams. I get it. When you win 13 games, you can do whatever the hell you want as far as I'm concerned. Now you just got to back it up. I get why. I don't necessarily need to go to figure out who my top prospects are. Your scouting department has been working on that for a couple of years now. Scouting guys that they could, getting them ready for this year's draft. I did find it interesting that the Rams, and credit Mike DiRocco for putting this out there, they use GPS data from games and practices to determine athleticism by these prospects. Makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, look, the 40 is if you could just run a 40, blister it down, that's great. But a lot of guys, they got to stay on that track, stay on that line. It's really important to stay low. You're never running like that in a game. I mean, you never do that. Maybe back in the day when receivers used to get in a three-point stance, maybe, but nobody's doing that in that regard. So I get what they're doing. As far as, the interviews, I don't want to hear canned answers either. I don't care about that. I'll get my information from your teammates, from your coaches, from your high school people, maybe even grammar school if I got to go that far down, and I'm going to draft you pretty darn high. I did find it interesting, that GPS data. You're going to find out more teams do that. They can track anything these days. They can. They can track pretty much or track anything these days. Javonte Williams out of Dallas signs a 3-year, $24 million contract, a $16 million guarantees. Similar to DeAndre Swift's deal with the Bears, but that was a couple years ago. The market has not moved in that regard. Javonte, look, he signs before free agency hits, so he probably took a little bit of a discount, just fine. He gets $16 million guaranteed. I'm sure he's happy with that. He had 13 touchdowns, just like Etienne Jr. here in Jacksonville, 11 rushing, 2 receiving. Not as much as a receiver as Etienne, but a really productive guy. You could also look at when the Rams signed Kyren Williams not too long ago. He got $11 million per year and $23 million guaranteed. So if you look at Javonte Williams at 3-year, $24 million, that's 80 a year with $16 million guaranteed. Kyren Williams, $11 million per year, $23 million guaranteed. I would expect Etienne Jr., if he does stay here in Jacksonville, to get somewhere in that regard between those numbers. Now, one thing I did learn and read, and I'm sure a lot of you already know this, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but Travis Etienne, since 2022, He's one of 4 NFL players to have over 3,750 yards rushing and 1,300 yards receiving. Pretty damn good. I'm wondering if we appreciate him enough here in town. I'm wondering if I do. I know he's great. I just know also that they drafted 2 young guys last year, and they're eventually going to want them to start. Do you do it now and wish Etienne well, or do you sign Etienne to this kind of deal somewhere in there and wait a few years? I don't think they're going to wait a few years. I don't. And I hope Travis Etienne Jr. gets as much money as out there as possible. And if he wants to take a deal like Javonte to stay here, fantastic go. That'd be absolutely great, but I would not expect him to do that. At least I personally wouldn't. You heard about Jackson Smith in Jigba talking about how he should be the highest paid wide receiver. The question is, does he deserve to be the highest paid? We talked about it on Helmets and Heels a little bit. Last year was JSN's best year in his 3rd year. Granted, they hit the QB, although Geno Smith was fine 2 years ago. Sam Darnold to live this year. So what I did was when I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm not saying he's not, but let's look at it. Let's go back 3 seasons, including 2025. Let's look at yards per game. And because to me, that's, how do I measure game impact from a wide receiver? How many yards do you get? Get 100 yards, you're impacting the game. That kind of thing. So I did that. I went in, I did the top 8 for the most part, top 5, and then looked to see who was just under. And I came up with some interesting data. Talk about data. So who's in the top 5 the most the past 3 years? Let me give you the top 5 from 23. Tyreek Hill, 112 a game. Justin Jefferson, just 10 games, but had 107. CeeDee Lamb, Keenan Allen, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those are your top 5 in 2023. 2024, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Puka Nacua, only 11 games. Nico Collins for the Texans, and A.J. Brown, only in 13 games. Last year, Puka led it, the 107.2, then JSN, then Jamar Chase without his QB, pretty impressive. George Pickens, we know, had a big year, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown was in the top 5. Now, when I look at just under that, just out of curiosity, 2023, Puka, just outside the top 5 at number 6. Nico Collins, number 7. A.J. Brown, number 8. 24 went Godwin, Neighbors, CeeDee Lamb. I didn't put up the other 2 numbers because they weren't in the top 5. I didn't think it mattered. Then you go for 25, you got CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, Nico Collins. Nico Collins, by the way, top 5 in 24, top 8 in 25, top 7 in 23. Pretty interesting. But back to the guys with multiple top 5s. Puka's got 2, 25 and 24. Jamar Chase has 2, 25 and 24. Amon-Ra St. Brown has 2, 25 and 23. And Justin Jefferson has 24 and 23. The one that stands out, Puka's at number 6 on 23. Interesting. So the last 3 years, Puka Nacua, in terms of impact, in terms of yards per game, he is, in this metric, the number 1 receiver in the game today. I told you one time top 8. You got Nico Collins one time plus the 7 and 8. A.J. Brown one time plus number 8. CeeDee Lamb 23, but 8 and 6. So interesting. Puka, Nico, and CeeDee all at 3 mentions. And Jamar Chase, Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown with 2. So how would you rank them out there? How would you rank them? I still think I'd have Chase and Jefferson at the top. Puka, I mean, he's more of an inside guy, but I mean, I could easily take him number 1. I think Jackson Smith in Jigba is a star in the making. He may get the highest. I think you're up near 40. I don't think he's better than Jefferson. I don't think he's better than Chase, but he is very, very good, and he's right up there. So I'd expect him at the top of the list, at least for the time being until the next guy comes up. But I thought that was interesting data. I found a really interesting Nico Collins of the Texans in there 3 different times. So if I'm Jackson Smith, yeah, and Jigba, yeah, I want to get paid. I want to be the highest paid. Look, just remember this when you're talking contracts, especially extensions, they're paying for what they think you're going to do, not what you've done. So think about that. So even with ETN, yeah, I want to pay him what they paid Kyron Williams. Okay, well, you better get tremendous production, 3 down back from ETN if I'm paying him that kind of money. And the question is, why would I pay him that kind of money when I think Tootin can carry some of the load and I think Allen can carry some of the load? Right, a lot to think about for our Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, I'm going to wrap up with this. I was looking at our roster, at our depth chart. You know, there's always turnover year to year. And we got guys that may or may not be back. I listed the guys that were definitely coming back. I'm not going to go through them. It's about 40. And then I left the guys blank where there may be a question mark. Some bigger than others, like Travis Etienne Jr., question mark. Brian Thomas Jr., slight question mark if they move him. They have to come with a great package, in my opinion. Patrick McCary, back injury, injured. Do they move on? Do they stick? Do they upgrade? Walker Little, we don't know there yet. I tell you what, I'd be, no disrespect to Patrick, because, hey, when you're injured, it sucks. But Walker Little showed me he can play right guard. I may throw him in there, and I don't care how much you're paying him. You didn't do it. They did it. Of course, you got Wyatt Miley. They, meaning the past regime, gave him that money. You'd expect Wyatt Miley to step in there. All right, other side of the ball. Dwayne Smoot, I wouldn't expect to be back. Eric Armstead, maybe. You know, that look, I said it my last podcast. The market for defensive tackle, 3 techniques, not nose tackles. 3, they're slim to none. They're slim, especially at that pick and especially at free agency. So I may stick with my guys if I can restructure. They did bring back Matt Dickerson. I do think Austin Johnson will be here. Will Mason Smith be here? Another guy left uncircled. We know, or we shouldn't, I should say we know. I don't think Emmanuel Ogba will be back. Devin Lloyd, question mark. Will he be back? You know how I feel about that. Eric Murray, I think he will, but there's a slight question mark there. Andrew Wingard, pretty Dewey. That's a pretty good question mark. They've got Antonio Johnson. He's their safety. Who are you going to fill in the other guy? You got Caleb Ransaw. You're expecting him to come back and be your starter. Got to see that with the Achilles. And then Greg Newsome, another corner. And then Monteric Brown. I mean, think of all those names. There's 11 names there, something like that. That's a lot. Now, not someone will come back, but that's a lot to replace, a lot to figure out. And when you're up against the cap, it's even more so. You got to get real creative. So I can understand. Like, if I just reading that off and knowing what you get out of the combine and knowing what you can get from GPS data and knowing just the different routes you can go and finding out about character of a prospect. Why go if you're the Jags? Why go to the listen, making deals, whatever. You know, maybe James is too young to drink and make deals in the bar. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's not his thing. Now, look, Tony should go. Baselli, he can hang in the bars all day long. They'd love to talk to the Hall of Famer. I think he should go and mingle, no doubt. But as far as the GM and the head coach, I don't need my head coach to mingle. And as a head coach, I don't want to do those stupid interviews either. I don't. I mean, they're all canned answers. They're all like coached up, schooled up. Go to their high school teacher. See how they treated people. Go to their high school gym teacher. See how they treated people. Go to the, I don't know, home ec teacher. See how they treated people. That's where you find out the character of guys. Now, you just not that. You go up to college and whatnot, but those are things. I don't need to sit there and interview them. What I want is what I see on tape. Tape will tell you everything. Tape never lies. It'll never lie. And then you throw in that GPS data, canned answers. I don't know. Why even go? Think about what we went through with Zoom as a world, society. You tell me they can't send these guys to Indianapolis and Maybe not have anybody there except the timers and the measure guys and all that. It's going to depend on the media. I think people will still watch. You still watch the combine. You still want to see the 40. You still want to see the quarterbacks throw. You still want to see the big men move. I know I do. I do. But as far as organizations going, maybe it's on its way out. I know this. When you win 13 games in your first season, I've said it before, when you win, you can do whatever you want as long as you keep winning. And as long as that recipe makes sure that the foundation is all about winning, continue. No one-hit wonders. That's what Liam Cohen says. We're not going to be a beep one-hit wonder. And I agree, Coach. Great words of wisdom. All right, that'll do it for me this time around. Make sure you check out Team Tommy Mac, please. I always tag him on social media, and I always put him up on different posts, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all over the place. You'll see him here on the show. You'll see him at TommyMac.net. They're best in class. When you need them, they will be there for you. Until next time, stay safe, be cool, stay safe. USA, USA, USA. We'll see you next time right here on Catching Up